The night Karen called 911 on me, I was standing on my porch, watching the lake swallow the last of the sunset. The water glowed like liquid copper, and I remember thinking, if they haul me off tonight, they'll have to drag me past my father's boots by the door. I'd been at that cabin for a week, a cedar-sided place my granddad built with his brothers after the war. 2 rooms, a stone fireplace, a deck that leans over the water like a hand shading its eyes. Every board smells like coffee, rain, and pine sap. My dad taught me to fish off that dock. He planted the sweet gum tree whose leaves still drift into the shallows every October. And out front, that's his flag, folded flat when it storms, flying proud when the wind cooperates. That evening, it barely moved, like the whole lake was holding its breath. Then came the gate slam, fast footsteps, and a voice sharp enough to slice air. "You can't be here," she said, stopping at the bottom of my steps. "This cabin is in violation. Immediate removal." Now, folks around here call her Karen. I don't usually label people like that, but that day, the name fit like it was stitched on her sweater. Clipboard in hand, radio on her belt. A kind of self-appointed badge you don't buy online, you earn by rehearsing control in the mirror. "This cabin," I said, "was here before your HOA, before your road, before your development. If you want to talk, we can talk. But you're standing on my porch. Take it easy." She didn't. She launched into her list like she was reading grocery items dock length. Unapproved stain, porch light, flag height. My father's flag. Something in me tightened, the way an old rope remembers the shape of the boat it once held. "Ma'am," keeping my tone even, "this cabin isn't in your HOA. Her eyes sharpened. "Everything around this lake falls under our covenants. If you won't leave, I'm calling the sheriff." She said it like a threat, and I told her to go right ahead. See, it wasn't just about rules. It was the tone, the arrogance. The way she talked like history didn't matter. Like people who built this place were an inconvenience she was hired to erase. That kind of disrespect lights a fuse deep down, especially when it touches your family's name. Within minutes, 2 squad cars rolled in through the evening fog. Their tires whispered over the gravel. Blue lights painted the pines an ocean hue. I set my coffee down and met the sheriff halfway. "Evening, Jack," he said, looking from me to the flag, then to her clipboard. "Everything all right here?" "Evening, Sheriff," I said. "Depends who you ask." She jumped in fast. "He's trespassing. Unapproved structure, non-compliant dock. Aggressive behavior." I stayed still, calm. "You've known my family your whole life, Sheriff. This cabin's older than both of us. We pulled catfish from this lake when we were 12. He glanced at the water, and I saw the memory land. He'd caught his first base under that same willow curve years ago. Then he asked quietly, "You got your papers?" I nodded. "I still keep the old tin box under the sink, where my dad said all important things live. Plumber's numbers, receipts, and deeds that stop bad arguments." I brought it out and spread the papers across the porch rail. The sheriff leaned in. The 1951 deed. The 1963 survey, penciled by my granddad. The 1978 easement for the public boat ramp. And finally, the trust document. When the timber company broke up, explained Granddad bought back most of the original parcels. When he passed, it all rolled into the Whitlock family trust. I managed the lake bed rights and most of the undeveloped land around here. The HOA was formed 20 years later, on land carved out of those parcels. Their rules stop at their borders. This place? County land, not theirs. Karen's jaw locked so tight I could almost hear her teeth grind. That's impossible. Our covenants cover the entire shoreline. The sheriff raised a hand. Calm but firm. Let's call dispatch. I'll have them pull the plat map. Then to me, "You mind if we wait here?" "Long as no one touches that flag," I said. I poured him a coffee. He took it like an old friend accepting peace without words. The younger deputy wandered to the water's edge, gazing out like he could still see the boy who used to fish there, while we waited. She kept talking about fines, liens, and authority. "Ma'am," I told her, "you can't lien what you don't own, and you can't fine outside your map." Then came the static over the radios. Dispatch reading coordinates, lot numbers. Finally, the truth. County assessor confirms the Whitlock Trust owns the lakebed and East Shore parcels A through K, including the cabin tract. HOA covenants apply, only within subdivision limits. Silence. The kind that hums before a storm passes. The sheriff sipped his coffee, then looked at her kindly. The way you look at someone who just learned rivers can't be fenced. "Ma'am," he said, "this cabin's outside your authority. You can't order him off, and you sure can't tell him how high to fly his flag." She blinked, stunned. "So you're saying he can do whatever he wants?" "No," I said. "I follow the law. I pay my taxes. I keep the wildlife safe and the lights dim so the fish come near shore. That's called stewardship." Her cheeks flushed crimson. "We'll take this to court. That's your right," the sheriff said. "But before you file, maybe check who owns the roads you're driving on." He glanced at me with a smile. "Turns out, Jack's trust donated most of the county's public land, courthouse, school field, soccer lot, and still owns the rights to these gravel roads. Folks like to joke he owns the whole county." Chuckled. "Might not be a joke. Pride doesn't need noise. Granddad always said land's a responsibility. You don't lord it. You look after it. And you don't let bullies push neighbors off their porches." Something in her eyes flickered. Maybe fear, maybe realization. "This isn't over," she said, her voice small now. Then she turned, heels snapping gravel. Taillights glowing red until they disappeared down the lane. The younger deputy came back, hands in his pockets. "Sir, my dad taught me to fish right over there." "Didn't know this was your family's place?" "It's everyone's place," I said, "if they treat it right. Tell your dad to stop by when the crappie are biting. Coffee's on me." When the cruisers left, the lake seemed to breathe again. The blue lights faded, replaced by the warm shimmer of porch glow on the ripples. I put my father's boots back by the door. The flag lifted with the breeze. Somewhere across the water, a dog barked once and went quiet. The fight was over, or so I thought. 2 days later, something better happened. A few folks from the subdivision walked up. No clipboards, no radios, just neighbors. Nervous smiles and open hands. A woman about my age spoke first. "Look," she said, "we moved here for the lake, the peace. Didn't realize your family built half this place. We just wanted to say thanks. If you ever need help with the dock or the steps, we're around." I felt something loosen in my chest, like sunlight pushing through a storm. "Well," I said, "I could use a hand replacing a board on the deck, and I've got a spare grill. We can break it in." So we did. 3 dads, 1 teenager, 2 moms, a bag of chips, a bottle of mustard. We hammered slow, laughed easier, and watched the lake trade blue for gold. When the deck was done, we ate burgers standing up, elbows dripping ketchup, and it felt like this place had finally remembered what it was meant to be, neighbors, not factions. That night, I sat alone again on those same steps. The water slapped softly under the dock. The anger was gone, burned down to warm coals of pride. Not arrogance, not revenge. Just peace earned the old-fashioned way by standing your ground without losing your grace. The lake was calm again. And for the first time in years, so was I. A week later, I got a letter. No threats this time, just a polite note acknowledging jurisdictional boundaries and requesting collaborative communication. I wrote back that my porch is open. My coffee's strong, and my father's flag will always fly at the height he measured with his thumb, his heart, and a piece of the open sky. Sometimes, standing up for what's right means standing alone until others find the courage to join you. Have you ever faced an HOA like this? Share your story in the comments. I read every one. And if you believe some fights are worth having, hit subscribe. And let's stand up together.